Cracking down on illegal immigration, Donald Trump that says that on day one of taking office, Americans can expect to see mass deportations of illegal citizens.
Now people are questioning if that is even possible and what will it mean for the economy. Immigration is our big story today.
Well, after reaching a record high at the end of 2023, the Pew Research Center finds that the monthly number of U.S. Border Patrol encounters with migrants crossing into the United States from Mexico has plummeted so far in 2024. And the Border Patrol recorded more than 101,000 encounters with migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border in September. Now, that's a sharp decline of more than 167,000 encounters when compared to September of last year. The decline in encounters has come amid some policy changes on both sides of the border. Authorities in Mexico have stepped up enforcement to prevent migrants from reaching the U.S. border. And President Biden issued an executive order in June that makes it much more difficult for migrants who enter the U.S. without legal permission to seek asylum and remain in the country. Meanwhile, President-elect Trump's team is already moving quickly to execute his day one priority, a crackdown on illegal immigration, focusing on how to immediately launch Trump's key campaign pledge, mass deportations of the estimated 12 million undocumented immigrants. Immigration was a cornerstone of Trump's 2024 campaign, and Trump's day one priority is to reinstate his former administration's border policies and reverse those of President Biden. Early discussions among Trump's team have also focused on removing undocumented immigrants who have committed crimes. Trump's acting Department of Homeland Security secretary says this isn't a new concept.
DHS every day removes individuals. They did that under President Trump in his first term. They've done that under President Biden, although at much lower levels. So this idea of removing individuals or deporting individuals, it's not a new concept. And again, the department does this every day. And so this idea of mass deportations, and we've certainly heard the president talk about that, it's not just one day or 1 week or even 1 month, but it's a sustained effort over a period of time. And so the department has officers dedicated to this. They has resources dedicated to this, detention beds dedicated to this. And so it's actually letting ICE officers do the job that they were hired and trained to do, as well as supplementing those officers' resources with other state and local, other federal law enforcement to, again, prioritize the targets, making sure that we are getting the criminals out of American communities and removing them back to their home countries.
A key issue under consideration is how, when, and if to deport immigrants who were brought to the United States as children, commonly known as dreamers.
There are a few logistical challenges President-elect Trump also faces with this plan. One of those being limited detention centers. This is something both Democratic and Republican administrators have grappled with because of limited resources. The federal government contracts with private companies to build, operate, and manage detention facilities and works with county jails. These facilities are then operated by employees of the contractors.
Another issue is finding the money to pay for the deportations. According to figures released by ICE back in 2016, the average cost of apprehending, detaining, processing, and removing one undocumented immigrant was nearly $11,000. Since then, the costs have only grown, due in part to more migrants coming to the U.S. from a wider range of countries. In fact, according to some experts, mass deportation could cost an estimated $88 billion a year, sending inflation spiking as millions of workers are removed from the workforce.
Immigrants, as well as those who work closely with them, say both sides' efforts to crack down on the border have clouded the larger immigration issue. They say both parties have often overshadowed immigrants' contributions to the nation's economy and threatened the social fabric of communities they have helped build. In Nevada, roughly 1 in 5 workers is foreign-born, the largest percentage of any swing state. Ranchers there say they struggle to find workers to run irrigation on their fields.
A lot of the time, immigrants from whatever nation are willing to do some of those jobs that no one else wants to do. We have a lot of people in this country that are good people, law-abiding citizens, otherwise that may not have status. I think we need some kind of program to make those people legal. They are not the ones coming here to cause problems.
According to USA Facts, which is a not-for-profit, nonpartisan research group, last year 5.3% of Ohio's population is made up of immigrants, and that is roughly 1 in every 19 residents. In Toledo, 3.3% of residents are immigrants. They do a number of jobs all over the state. In 2022, immigrants held about 6% of all jobs in Ohio.
Well, a lot of that work comes from agriculture. We have Ty Higgins from the Ohio Farm Bureau with us. So how big of a role do migrant workers have on farms across the state?
Well, Ohio farmers are really good at growing produce and food for our state and the country and really the rest of the world. But make no mistake about it, there is no doubt the reason we have an affordable and abundant food supply is because of guest workers coming in and filling thousands of jobs across the Buckeye State that may not be as appealing to American workers.
So let's talk about staffing shortages. It's something that the farming industry and agriculture has dealt with for years. Many industries are continually looking for work. So how do the farm laborers bridge that gap?
Well, it all starts with the H-2A program, bringing in workers from other countries to really help us during the busy seasons, talking about planting in the spring and harvest in the fall. There's a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of hands in the dirt type of work on the farm to make sure we get that food from the farm to the plate. That's where the guest worker program and those workers that come in from all over the world to help are a big part of our economy here in Ohio. It can't be understated just how important those workers are to ensure that we get our 3 meals a day here in Ohio and across the country.
Now, when COVID hit, a lot of people were unable to travel internationally, meaning there were no migrant workers. So did that impact some operations on farms across the state?
It did to some extent. People had to take other avenues in order to get the labor they needed. But still, there was a shortage during that time. Luckily, though, a lot of the workers that we have seen here in Ohio that maybe weren't here for a year or two were happy to come back and help those farmers. You have to understand that these aren't just workers that don't have a name. They have relationships with these farmers and these farms, and they become family to a lot of the farms. And the one thing that we have said for years at Farm Bureau is that if we aren't, bringing in workers from other countries, we'd be bringing food in from other countries. And I don't think that's an appetizing option for a lot of Americans.
Well, Ty, we really appreciate your insight on the topic. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We will continue to follow immigration in Ohio and across the U.S. You can follow along and stay up to date by downloading our 13 Action News app. It is a free download in your phone's app store.